Dinosaurs lived many million years before humans appeared on Earth. And though they certainly could not pride themselves on having Polish citizenship, it was in Poland that many significant discoveries were made. Discoveries which shed new light on the amazing Triassic fauna of what today is Poland and Europe. In the first episode of Poland Rocks, we will talk of what the territory of today's Poland looked like more than 200 million years ago. We will learn about dinosaurs and other large reptiles that were discovered on Polish territory, creatures which once reigned supreme. The first discovery of a dinosaur on Polish territory took place at the end of the 19th century in a village called Kotsury. At the time, the area belonged to Germany, and thus, unsurprisingly, the one to undertake the task of describing the fossils was a well-known German paleontologist named Friedrich von Huene. On the basis of just one bone, he concluded that a new species and genus of dinosaurs was discovered, subsequently named Velocephus garici. During World War II, the precious bone disappeared, which prevented it from being inspected. For a time, this led to a controversy around classifying a new species. At first, it was feared that the fossil had been destroyed, but recently it was rediscovered in the collection of a museum in Hamburg. For a long time, it was thought that Poland is not a country that's abundant in fossils of land reptiles. However, there has been a real boom in the number of such discoveries in recent years. More than 100 years had to pass for another large reptile to be discovered in Kotsury, an Aedosaur, Kotsurypelta sylvestris, which in Latin literally means a forest armor from Kotsury. But first things first, the history of Polish dinosaurs can reach back as far as 251 million years ago. Let's move to a completely different part of the country now, into the Świętokrzyskie Mountains. It was there that the fossilized traces of Prorodactylus, the echoes of Dinosauromorpha, the great ancestors of dinosaurs, were discovered. It is estimated that this rather small tetrapod weighed a bit over 4 kilograms, or just under 9 pounds, and was about the size of a cat. The discovery made in the Świętokrzyskie Mountains, in the village of Strykowice, sheds new light not only on early dinosaur evolution, but also on the largest extinction in history, what's referred to as the Permian-Triassic extinction event. That event is thought to have resulted in the extinction of as much as 90% of species existing at that time. A further consequence of this extinction event was dinosaurs, the relatives of our rather small Prorodactylus, taking over the Earth. Neighboring voivodeship Małopolska, Czechowice Quarry, next to Rzeszowice, Chatkobatrachus, the first frog on the northern hemisphere, and the second frog in the world comes from here. A tailless jumping frog is perhaps the most representative example of amphibians that springs to mind. 90% of the amphibian species alive today lack tails. Few of us are aware of the fact that most amphibians in the history of the Earth were formed very differently, and that amphibians lost their tails as a result of advanced, long-lasting evolution. One of the oldest proto-frogs known to science is named Chatkobatrachus polonicus. It was found in the Chatkowice Quarry in Rzeszowice and is dated to be over 247 million years old. Not only was Chatkobatrachus found in Rzeszowice, but so was Pamelina polonica, a relative of Triassic flying reptiles, as well as a relative of the early dinosaur progenitors named Chakoviella here. The majority of the most interesting Triassic fossils in Poland are found in Upper Silesia, especially in its northern part, a 60-kilometer-long strip of land. In the Middle Triassic, the larger part of the contemporary territory of Poland was covered by a sea inhabited by reptiles adapted to living in water. One of them was a predator that resembled a hybrid of a crocodile and a lizard, known as Pronistichosaurus silicicus. The fossil was discovered as early as at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries in a little town named Gogolin. A part of the skeleton went missing during World War II, and it wasn't until recently that scientists noticed the characteristic tubercles on the ribs. Tubercles which are probably remnants of tuberculosis. Thus, we are talking of the oldest bacterial infection known to science. A fossil of another sick, though barely 5 million years younger marine reptile, named Pistosaurus longavus, was found in Tarnowskie Góry. The animal lived and hunted fish similarly to how eared seals do today. This early relative of plesiosaurs was around 2.5 meters long. It is extremely interesting that he suffered from arthritis, which makes this the earliest known instance of this disease in the world. But how could a prehistoric marine reptile develop arthritis? Despite its streamlined body, Pistosaurus was not yet a fully marine species. It probably preferred shallower bodies of water, and thus was prone to arthritis and decompression sickness. During a sudden resurfacing, nitrogen bubbles can cause a blockage of blood supply, which may lead to bone tissue death, resulting in infections. Pistosaurus is not the only discovery made near Tarnowskie Góry. Another worthy mention is Placidus, a marine reptile with heavy jaws, which were probably used to crush the mollusk shells found in the neighboring village of Laryszów. Toward the end of the Middle Triassic, the sea in the area of Tarnowskie Góry began to become more shallow, creating bodies of water with low salinity. Those bodies of water were inhabited by, among others, Nothosaurs and Tanystrophius, reptiles with characteristically extremely long necks, constituting upward of half of their bodies. In Poland, there have been discovered the remains of the largest species, Tanystrophius conspicuus, whose adult specimens could reach even as much as 6 to 7 meters in length. To this day, there is not agreement among scientists on the topic of how this extraordinary animal lived. The long neck can bring to mind plesiosaurs, the prehistoric marine reptiles. The skull of Tanystrophius points to it being a fish-eating animal, but the rest of its body does not suggest the evolutionary adaptation to life on the open sea. Some believe that Tanystrophius may have hunted from above the water surface, reaching into the water with its long neck. The group of animals from Middle Triassic, which lived in the disappearing sea in Miadoure, is the most abundant source of Tanystrophes fossils. Amphibians are represented here by Mastodonsaurus and Plagiosaurus, both resembling large salamanders. We are staying in Silesia in the village of Kraków, but moving another 8 million years forward in time. The climate of this part of Europe in the late Triassic resembled the climate of contemporary India. In muddy, seasonal lakes, there lived predators which resembled modern gharials and crocodiles. None of the discovered water monsters was closely related to contemporary crocodiles. The only reptiles were the fish-eating phytosaurs. The other predators were amphibians. A 2-meter-long Metaposaurus crageovensis breathed ambient air but hunted fish in deep waters. Cyclodosaurus intermedius could reach as much as 3.5 meters in length and behaved like contemporary alligators. Submerged in water, it scanned the shore for potential prey. But there could only be one king of hunting, and it lived on land. Polonosuchus silesiacus was a 6-meter-long predator, related to modern crocodiles. It probably preyed on Stagnolopus olenka, a second Polish atasaur, and Silosaurus opalensis, found on the same dig site. Silosaurus, meaning Silesian lizard, was an agile, fast-running herbivore. There is an ongoing dispute over whether it can be classified as a dinosaur or Dinosauromorpha, dinosaurs' progenitors. Contrary to popular belief, the discussion is not pointless. If Silosaurus was to be narrowly classified as a dinosaur, it could be claimed to be one of the oldest dinosaurs on Earth. If you're not surprised by the large reptiles ruling on land, meet Olgimek, the largest flying reptile of the Triassic. Olgimek volans could reach as much as 90 centimeters in length. Similarly to contemporary flying squirrels, they had a patagium, a membranous body part between limbs that helped them glide between branches of high coniferous trees. Let's leave the famous dig in Krajeov and move to Poręba, 215 million years ago. It is here that Proterocorus probensis, a turtle of mixed habitat, freshwater and land-dwelling, used to live in seasonal lakes and rising rivers. It is not, however, an ordinary fossilized turtle. A shell covered the first turtles only partially, and the earliest species were completely deprived of one. The Polish specimen was the first species covered with a shell, and thus the first species to fully resemble the contemporary turtle. Liszowice. It is from there that the largest Polish Triassic monsters come from. Every child in Poland knows the medieval legend about the Wawel dragon. The legendary dragon terrorized the local people and threatened the newly rising Polish country. In the end, the reptile was deceived and slain when it swallowed a piece of bait stuffed with sulfur. 1,000 years had to pass since that memorable poisoning before Polish scientists discovered a real Wawel dragon. Here we are talking of the 6-meter-long Archosaur, which lived in the late Triassic, 210 million years ago. A new species of Archosaur discovered in Liszowice was named in Polish, Smok wawelski. In English, Wawel dragon. The largest non-mammalian synapsid to ever roam the Earth was discovered in the same dig site in Liszowice. But wait a minute. If you're wondering what on earth synapsids are, let me explain. We, humans, among other species, and all mammals, are synapsids. By non-mammalian synapsids, we understand mammal-like reptiles. To put it simply, prehistoric animals which looked like reptiles, but were more closely related to mammals which evolved later. But let's come back to Poland, to Liszowice, Liszowice Bożani, where the largest non-mammalian synapsid in the history of Earth lived. According to scientists, its weight could reach as much as 9 tons. This non-mammalian synapsid was also the last existing Dicynodont and shared its environment with the first dinosaurs 210 million years ago. If it was not for the dinosaurs, Liszowice would have been the largest land animal of its times. But why did the discovery of the Polish giant cause such a stir among scientists? It's because it gave evidence that gigantism in the late Triassic was not a rare phenomenon which only affected dinosaurs. This evolutionary trend applied to many kinds of species.
This is what the territories of contemporary Poland and its Triassic inhabitants looked like over 200 million years ago. But the time of the real giants was only about to begin. If you want to get aboard the Poland Rocks time machine again and see what the world looked like millions of years ago, subscribe to our channel and leave us a like. The creation of the film would not be possible without the support of our donors. We've prepared interesting original gifts for our wonderful patrons. If you think this film and our project are valuable, please support us with any size donation. It is absolutely crucial in order for us to be able to continue to make more films like this one. You can find the link to donate through Patreon or Buy Me Coffee in the description of the film.